I'm so goddamn lived up today, dude. Let's go, baby. It's hard not to be lived up in a moment like this where like the criminal justice system just works. You know what I mean? Feels like it's that, older athlete that you love, I guess, or that you once loved who is no longer performing in the way that he does, but then he goes on a 20-point tear or something, and you're just sitting there like, yeah, that's the glory days. Like, he's back. That's how I feel right now about the American criminal justice system. Like, it sucks dick. It's awful. It's white supremacist. It works to do so much bad, but then sometimes it gets it right. You know what I mean? Yeah, like a D-Rose 50-point game. You're like, it's never going to happen again, but I'm glad that it happened one time, and it made me feel like it's the motherfucker glory days. Now, obviously, for the American criminal justice system, that analogy doesn't work that well because I don't think it has ever been good. But, you know, it's the theory of how this prospect was supposed to be good. Theoretical democracy. Will he actually be locked up or not? No, I don't think so. But doesn't matter. It's still fun. I mean, he could technically. Like, that is in the rules. It is a part of the sentencing guidelines. If he got the maxed out sentence, he could go all the way up to 22 years in prison. It would never happen, especially because of the type of crime that he's engaging in, especially considering that he's a first-time offender. And also beyond that, the fact that he is like was the president, will most likely be the president. It's not going to happen. It's his first time offense. It's like the type of offense like is what 70% of the people with that exact type of felony actually don't see any prison time. Like, he at the most will get like community service. Community service would be more humiliating. It'd be awesome. He would have to do it like, you know how like BP does it, where BP will be like, oh yeah, we weren't forced to clean up after a massive leak. We're actually doing this because we love the environment. Like, it would be like that. Trump would be like, oh yeah, I'm actually doing community service because I love the community. I love it. I love the community. I'm doing it not because it's court ordered. I'd be doing this even if the court didn't order this. Genuine question, because he's being charged, does this not change his ability to run for office? No. Even if he was literally sentenced and even if he was in prison, technically you could run for president and win the presidency from prison. You can literally run from jail. That's actually one of the best parts about American rules. I will always stand on that. But let's get started. Trump found guilty on all 34 counts in historic New York criminal trial. Let's take a look,
249 years of American presidents, and never has anything like this happened before. Historic, unprecedented felony conviction of Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States. It happened a little after 5 p.m. Eastern time. The jury read its verdict, generating headlines instantly like these behind me all around the country and the world. And while the verdict means that Trump will run for president this time as a convicted felon, that does not mean he will serve prison time. That's worth noting right up front. Many observers, in fact, call that unlikely. The former president was found guilty of all 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, all tied to a hush money payment made to adult film star Stormy Daniels in the run-up to the 2016 election.
The jury needed less than 2 days to make its unanimous decision.
I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked. I can't believe it. 34? That's crazy. 34, that's crazy. I thought they would surely find him guilty of some stuff, but 34 across the board, like everything. They hit him. They did the full clearance aisle. That's crazy. Clean sweep. It's rigged, man. Shit is rigged. Nobody likes me in New York. It's rigged, folks.
Plans to appeal, and he remained defiant outside the courtroom where he was greeted by supporters and protesters. The guilty verdict is another first for the former president, who is also the first president to be impeached twice.
Bro's throwing up the fist like he's a political criminal, too. It's so funny. Yeah, dude. It's Nelson Mandela. You watched him get arrested, okay?
This verdict just the beginning of a new uncertain chapter of this campaign, fueled by former President Trump's grievance. And the sentencing will now come at a crucial moment. In July, just days before Republicans select him as their nominee.
Donald Trump left court Thursday a convicted felon and vowed to fight.
I'm a very innocent man. And it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution.
He's a very innocent man. Oh, woo, what a treat. What a treat. What a treat. What a treat. Thank you. Thank you to the criminal justice system for giving us this beautiful thing. Thank you, Alvin Bragg Jr. Thank you, Judge Merchant, or whatever the fuck his name is. Thank you to Jeff Tiedrick. Thank you to the Democratic Party. Dark Brandon strikes again. Gonna be real honest with you, Alvin Bragg Jr. You did that AJ, thank God I saved you from the zombie apocalypse. Thank you, David Pecker. I mean, thank you to New York, the Boston of America. Thank you to New York City. Thank you to the jurors. Thank you to everybody. Okay, bro, yapping like he did it. I'm just saying, like, it's great. It's a joyous occasion. Thank you, Stormy Daniels, for having sex with Donald Trump, which is kind of gross, but hey, you know, get your money, queen. Get your money up, not your funny up, Stormy. Thank you to a friend of the show, Michael Cohen. Mea culpa, obviously. All right, let's keep going.
12 Manhattan jurors decided the former president's fate, deliberating for more than 11 hours over 2 days, reaching a verdict late yesterday and finding Trump guilty on all 34 counts. Inside the tense courtroom, Trump looked straight ahead as the verdict was read, a blank expression, then stared at each...
Dude, let's run that back. That one is not the best one. The one with his mouth open, is that real or is that fake?
Straight ahead as the verdict was read, a blank expression, then stared at each juror as they confirmed the verdict one by one.
This was a disgrace.
Trump was convicted of falsifying business records related to a $130,000 payment made to adult film star Stormy Daniels in the lead-up to the 2016 election to keep her quiet about an alleged sexual encounter. Cohen weighed in late Thursday.
It's accountability. It's exactly what America needs right now.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who brought the historic case, also spoke last night, saying Trump had been treated like any other defendant.
Our job is to follow the facts and the law without fear or favor, and that's exactly what we did here. The only voice that matters is the voice of the jury, and the jury has spoken.
Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, said the trial was flawed from the start.
Because of the
There is nothing that happens on this podcast that deserves this hard of an intro, okay? Is it an original song just for the pod as well? Yes, bro, yes. This is his unironic intro banger.
Less than an hour after the verdict, Trump's campaign was fundraising off it, claiming he is a political prisoner, after he said he'd plow.
That boy got $36 million, I think, or 39. I can't remember the exact number, but they got $30+ million that they raised in one day, which, you know, not enough.
The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
Joining Bob on set is Caroline Polisi, a criminal defense attorney and a lecturer in law at Columbia Law School. Good morning to both of you. Caroline, I want to start with you. The real verdict, Donald Trump says, will be on November 5th. If he becomes president again, I think some voters on both sides will ask, is he going to be in jail while being president? Is jail time on the table here?
It is on the table. I would say highly unlikely to
Let's go. Shh, don't say that. Shh. Don't say that. Don't say that. Think about it. Think about it. Think about how sick that would be. I'm just saying. Think about it.
That question, 34 felony counts, each one of which does carry with it the possibility of up to 4 years in prison.
Doesn't the judge get to decide, or am I dumb? Yes, this is entirely up to the judge now. The thing is, however, there's very little likelihood. There's very little likelihood because, like, once again, the type of offense and also him being a first-time offender, like, and also him being the president previously and most likely the president again, like, because there's a logistical complication that many people are not even considering, or maybe some people are considering, which is that a president, if you jail them, they have lifetime Secret Service. So, like, what is he going to have lifetime Secret Service in jail with them? You know what I mean? These are like genuine questions. These are truly unprecedented moments. It's not like the thing is, he didn't, like, I guess, do extrajudicial murders that are outside of the scope of the presidential powers. You know what I mean? Because he did do extrajudicial murders. That's what presidents do, especially post Obama. But, like, he didn't do it in a non-presidential way. Like, it's not like he went up to a random person and just, like, domed them. In a situation like that, I feel like it'd be different. But this is a first time felony offense for, I guess, betraying the voters' trust, or, like, lying to voters, hiding hush money payments, mismanagement of campaign funds, or directing Michael Cohen to mismanage campaign funds, and keeping a secret from the broader electorate. Ironic enough, because, like, clearly they wouldn't have given a shit if they knew, and many people now know, and they don't give a shit, obviously. So this is a third world banana republic with a Gucci belt on, law at rule of law. First of all, I love when Republican dumbasses say stuff like that. I'm sure you're joking when you say that, but, like, no, it is actually good to criminally prosecute former presidents. Like, we should get more of that. We should do it across the board. Also, the irony here is that, you know, everyone's doing the Banana Republic, but like, there is nothing more European than investigating and maybe even subsequently arresting former leaders. Okay. Europeans are probably watching right now going, first time? Really? Any chance of the delegates that the RNC may revolt and hold their votes? LOL! Are you crazy? No. One of the most prescient sentiments ever expressed by Donald Trump was when he said he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and these motherfuckers would still vote for him. That is real, bro. That is one of the realest things he's ever said. Because they would. They'd vote harder. They'd be like, bro, what kind of baby did he shoot? I bet that was a libtard baby. I'd shoot a baby too. I shoot my own baby for Donald Trump. Are you kidding me?
Todd, thank you for being here. Why do you think the jury found Donald Trump guilty on all counts?
I mean, well, I don't know.
That's my lawyer, dog. I'm going to jail. That's my lawyer, dog. I don't know. Strong start, Todd. Let's run it back. Let's run it back.
Thank you for being here. Why do you think the jury found Donald Trump guilty on all counts?
I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. I think
Is it, Todd? Is that a good question, Todd? Todd, you suck, dog. 34? Bro, you had a perfect defeat. That's crazy, man. You had a perfect defeat. He's out here doing impossible things. 0 for 34, dude. That's crazy. I want to do more the basketball analogies. You know what I mean? It's just like, you got swept, son. You got swept. What happened?
Understanding why a jury reaches a verdict is something that every single trial lawyer in the country would love to be able to answer honestly. Look, a lot goes into a jury verdict that doesn't even include what happened at the trial. You know, the decisions that are made before the trial, the decisions that the court makes and that the parties decide about what witnesses to call, what evidence to put in. You know, so I think that at the end of the day, it remains true that if the word of Michael Cohen was not accepted at all, then you could not have convicted.
Bro, that shit was so stupid. Like, you have to do that, right? And I get it. For Donald Trump, he's not the best client because he's incredibly incompetent in doing crimes, because he's kind of failed upwards always, right? So he is, in many respects, one of the worst clients to try to get off, because like he's constantly going around pulling at Israel and being like, I did that. I love doing that. I'm going to do more of that, you know, you. Also, the judge is anti-Semitic, okay? If this is the Israel analogy, you know, he's just doing that all the time. He's like, no, I did that and I love doing it. Suck my dick. So it's hard. It's hard to defend Donald Trump. Having said that, this is like the guy that's testifying already served a sentence for the crimes that he was directed to do by the guy who's being prosecuted in this situation. So your client, but you can't just be like, okay, how are you going to trust this guy? I mean, he's a liar. He's a perjurer. He lies all the time. Excuse me. It's like, yeah, bro, that's what happens when you're doing criminal conspiracy. Okay. And I made an analogy earlier before, like last week, where it's like, if you have a mob boss sitting at a trial and you have a hitman that is already serving a prison sentence, you can't just turn around and be like, Your Honor, how can you trust this guy? He kills people. It's like, yeah, for him, for your client. He's killing people for you. Wow, how can this guy be considered credible? I mean, he's killed people. That's the whole point, dude. That's why your client is currently being prosecuted. Like, what are we talking about? My coworker, who's such a smarmy lib, is extra unbearable today, but today I can't, but I also can't blame him. Yes, this is their moment, dude. Come on. Libs have a moment today. Libs have a moment. They are right. I am wrong. I've downplayed it because I didn't think that 34 out of 34 W's was going to be posterized. And also, the Republicans are so mad. It makes me so happy. It gives me so much joy to see conservatives crying, being like, our democracy gone. Where is the law and order? This is a banana republic. Like, it's just dope, dude. It's dope.
We're part of the case, but the documents, the 34 counts were documents that really had very little connection to President Trump, but for the few checks that he signed. Look, I very much believe that the jury.
Dude, what is this argument, dude? What is this argument? He's still going off with this. It's like, yeah, dude, Michael Cohen just personally wanted to pay Stormy Daniels. Like what could it have been? Why did he do that? Especially after they had many conversations that pertain to Michael Cohen operating as a fixer for Donald Trump, specifically in the Stormy Daniels hush money situation. Why could he have done that? Like, what other reason could there be?
That the jury should have found President Trump not guilty. I mean, in my soul, I believe that, and I believed it for a year. I mean, I left my job to do what I did the past 6 weeks,
Damn, son, he left his job to work for a dude who's not going to pay him, famously doesn't pay, and also on top of that, the entire world knows you as a loser. 34 L's, dude. Posterized. Alvin Bragg put his nuts on your forehead, dude. What happened? Damn, son, imagine 0 for 34. I left my job. I'm not even going to get paid by my client. Woo!
So that means your counsel was for him to not take the stand.
I'm not going to tell you what my counsel was.
Well, you said he relied on counsel and he went with that decision and he didn't take the stand.
But ultimately, it was his.
Bro, the fact that he's stuttering against Caitlin Collins is crazy. I totally understand why he got owned. It almost feels like Donald Trump could make a genuine appeal here and be like, my lawyer was against me this whole time. He did not do an adequate defense.
It was his decision. And I never say, and I think colleagues and folks that you have on here hopefully agree with me, I never say to somebody, don't take the stand, right? That's their decision, and that's a decision that they have to make. But I want them to have they want them to know what will happen on the good and the bad if they do take the stand.
So no regrets on him not taking the stand?
Look, the verdict came down a couple hours ago. I don't know if I have any regrets about anything yet. I'm still thinking things through, and I think so is he, and so are everybody else around him. But at this point, I don't think that there was a conviction because he did not take the stand.
When he was leaving, one thing he brought up were the witnesses who were not called. And he was saying that there could have been witnesses.
Dude, this is unimaginably bad. This is unimaginably bad. I'm seeing why they lost so hard, dude. If I'm this bad on camera, if I'm this nervous, I wouldn't just go on CNN, which is hostile territory to begin with. If I'm Trump, I'm not paying his anyway. You know what I mean? I already have a long track record of not paying people. Yo, is Trump actually broke? Who's this jabroni ass pansy lawyer? One, he is actually broke, but this is irrelevant to the point of contention here. The reason why he has this jabroni ass lawyer is because he has literally gone through half the lawyers in New York. That's why I joked about it previously, where it's like first of all, you know your shit's fucked up when your lawyer is a Catholic, okay? Joey Taco Penis. Like, you're out here hiring Italian lawyers. Like, that means you literally went through every other lawyer. And he even went through Joey Taco Penis, too, and arrived at this guy.
But can you do that without attacking Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen? I mean, there was one point where the judge had to use incredibly strong language with you because Trump audibly used an expletive when Stormy Daniels was on the witness stand.
When you say can you do that, you mean can you respond when
but isn't
people
that inappropriate for him to have an outburst in court while a witness is on the stand?
First of all, I don't think an outburst is the right way to describe what happened. As you know from being in the courtroom, the courtroom has very bizarre acoustics, and there's times.
What is happening? It's the acoustics of the courtroom that made it seem like it, dude. He was actually super calm and collected.
You can't hear a thing, and there's times when voice carries, and I don't. It was absolutely not an outburst.
The witness heard it. Stormy Daniels heard it.
I have no idea if that's true.
Her attorney told us that.
Okay, well, I mean,
you didn't think it was inappropriate when he came out and would rail against Judge Merchan and go after his daughter and other witnesses in this case?
He did not go after the judge's daughter after he was gagged.
After he was gagged? Okay. What about before he was gagged? God, dude. This is why I'm saying it's like kind of hard to be Trump's lawyer. This is why it's hard to be his lawyer, because he's like constantly going, I did that shit. Also, the judge sucks. Also, we should probably maybe kill the judge's family. That's like, you can't do that. It's like Trump and Alex Jones.
And by the way, the defense went after the judge's daughter.
He was a registered Dem until 2023. He quit his job to start his own law firm and represent Trump. Oh my Lord.
But on this overall, I mean, you were relatively new to the Trump team. Your life has kind of changed since you've become a Trump attorney. You've moved to Florida. You're now registered as a Republican. You used to work at a big firm.
Bro pulled the dying content creator exit strategy. I love that. Like when you're when you're content creator and your relevance is waiting, you just immediately start talking about trans people all of a sudden. He did that. Moved to Florida, start talking about like right-wing politics all of a sudden out of nowhere. It's a classic move, dude. Congratulations. You're killing it. I can't wait. I can't wait for your stupid book to come out inevitably and no one will read it.
From here, you're registered as a Democrat. Do you expect to continue to represent Trump in this case and in the federal cases?
Yes, absolutely. Listen, absolutely. I'm going to Florida next week, and we have a motion to compel hearing in the case at the end of June, and we have a lot of work to do. We haven't been working on that case the past 6 weeks, and we are going to start fighting every day in Florida. We have briefing in this case, we have a sentencing in this case, and then we'll have an appeal.
One thing about the Trump attorneys that we sometimes hear is whether or not they were paid after. It's always a point of contention. Obviously, Michael Cohen talked about it. Has that ever been an issue for you since you've represented him?
No, and I don't know what Trump attorneys, I mean, I know that it's a fun folklore to talk about that Trump attorneys don't get paid and whatnot, but I don't know who that applies to. But of course, President Trump pays his bills, and I am getting paid. And if my mom's listening, I'm getting paid. But that's not, I'm not.
This is a disaster, bro. He took like he took the drug that makes you, instead of the drug that makes you dab Hamas, he took the drug that makes you answer every question honestly in a way that makes him and his client look worse somehow.
Of course, President Trump pays his bills, and I am getting paid. And if my mom's listening, I'm getting paid.
Like he just openly admitted even his mom is worried. That's so funny. You know, his MSNBC watching mom is like, why are you doing this? You don't have to do this. Please don't do this.
So it seems that there are a lot of witnesses, a lot of people that they could have called that they didn't call. Now, they didn't call them, obviously, because they would have been very bad witnesses for them. But take a look at the list. Because of the gag order, I won't go down into individual names. But you have a lot of big players, very big players that would have solved.
Like here, he just looks so serious. And then you hear him talk, and all of a sudden it's like an entirely different man. When he's mean mugging, he looks like a serious, competent lawyer. And then you hear him talk to Caitlin Collins, and you're like, oh, I get why it was a 0 for 34 type situation.
Their problem, or actually would have given us the win. We already have the win. If we had a fair judge, this case would have been over a long time ago. But a lot of key witnesses were not called. Look at your list. Look at the players. And you know who I'm talking about. You can take 5 or 6 of them. Why didn't they call those witnesses? They didn't call them because they would have been on our side.
Yeah, it is a solid legal argument to say the prosecution could have brought people in to help my side. Instead, they only brought people in to help their side.
And it's a shame. And in particular, one witness who's now suffering gravely because of what's happened, because of the viciousness of these thugs. The vicious people, what they've done to that person. And you know who I'm talking about. And they didn't call him as a witness. They didn't call anybody as a witness. And all these people they could have called and solved the problem.
Bro, you can't be calling people thugs no more. You're a convicted felon. 34X. It's just like, you know.
The other thing, the confusion is, nobody knows what the crime is, because there's no crime.
Nobody knows what the crime is. No, they know. I think 12 people knew.
Nobody knows what the crime is. The DA didn't name the crime. They don't know what the crime is. That's what the problem is. It's a disgrace. This thing ought to be ended immediately. The judge ought to end it and save his reputation. Thank you very much.
Maybe I'm stupid, but I genuinely don't understand why this is illegal. You can't take campaign funds and pay off hush money for a porn star and then masquerade it as there's 34 different reasons why it's illegal. But you can't shelter public opinion from something that could have potentially changed the election outcomes. You can't take campaign funds and pay off your lawyer under legal fees when it's just simply paying off hush money. You can't lie to the public like that. You know, let's get into the details of it a little bit, because I feel like we haven't really discussed the nitty gritty. So former President Trump's conviction in New York stemmed from a $130,000 hush money payment to his attorney, Michael Cohen, which Michael Cohen made to adult film star Stormy Daniels in the days before the 2016 election. Prosecutors said the deal was meant to keep voters in the dark about Daniels' allegation that she had sex with Trump years earlier, which he denies. But the actual charges that Trump faced were far less salacious and dealt with the comparatively mundane paperwork that was generated for when he reimbursed Michael Cohen for the payment. 34 counts of falsification of business records in the first degree, which is a felony in New York. He pleaded not guilty when he was arraigned last year. So here's how the story starts. In 2017, Cohen and Alan Weisselberg, an executive at Trump Organization, reached an agreement about how Cohen would be repaid for the $130,000 that he sent to Daniels in exchange for her silence. Weisselberg detailed the calculations and handwritten notes that were shown to jury at trial. Cohen would receive $130,000 for the Daniels payment, plus $50,000 intended for a technology company that did unrelated work for Trump. That amount was doubled to account for taxes that Cohen would have to pay on the income. Weisselberg then tacked on an extra $60,000 as a bonus for Cohen, who was upset that his regular year-end award had been cut. The total worked out to $420,000. Cohen would be paid in a series of monthly payments of $35,000 over the course of 2017. The first check was $70,000, covering 2 months. Cohen sent an invoice to the Trump Organization for each check, portraying the payment as his retainer. Every time he was paid, a bookkeeper generated a record for the company's files known as a voucher with the description legal expense. The first 3 payments were made from Trump's trust, while the remaining 9 came from his personal account. Each of the 34 charges against Trump corresponded to a check, invoice, and voucher generated to reimburse Cohen. The prosecution laid out the charges in a chart that jurors saw several times during the trial. Prosecutors said Trump knew the payments were to reimburse Cohen for the Daniels payment, not for his legal expenses. The jury voted to convict on all 34 counts. How say you the first count of the indictment? Guilty, the foreperson responded, repeating the answer 33 times. Under New York law, the falsification of business records is a crime when the records are altered with an intent to defraud. To be charged as a felony, prosecutors must also show that the offender intended to commit another crime or aid or conceal another crime when falsifying the records. In Trump's case, prosecutors said that the other crime was a violation of New York election law. That makes it illegal for any 2 or more persons to conspire, promote, or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means. What exactly those unlawful means were in this case up for the jury to decide. Prosecutors put forth 3 areas that they could consider: a violation of federal campaign finance laws, falsification of other business records, or a violation of tax laws. Jurors did not need to agree on what the underlying unlawful means were, but they did have to unanimously conclude that Trump caused the business records to be falsified and that he did so with intent to defraud that included an intent to commit another crime or to aid or conceal the commission thereof. Trump's defense was that they were paying Cohen not because of the Stormy Daniels hush money payment, but instead that was just like regular old legal fees, which is wrong. It's just a lie, right? And that the descriptions on the invoices and records were accurate. Cohen held the title personal attorney to the president once Trump took office and was being paid for his legal services under an unwritten retainer agreement. Therefore, the argument went, no business records were falsified. Except the problem is, Michael Cohen openly did say, no, this is for hush money. And also, there was enough evidence to show that it was definitely for hush money, including, but not limited to, the handwritten note. So, you know, he's cooked in that situation.
What will the verdict mean to voters? Our political director, Rick Klein, joined us now. Good morning, Rick.
Yeah, good morning, Michael. This was a long trial with a lot of embarrassing developments for Donald Trump. But if anything, Donald Trump is stronger now than he was at the start of the trial. You see this very narrow lead that's been pretty persistent, Donald Trump leading by about 2 points as of now. But that said, there are Trump voters who have said that a verdict in this matter would make a big difference. This was from our poll from a couple of weeks ago. We saw 80% of Trump Trump supporters say they would continue to support him no matter what. But that's another 20% total that would either reconsider or withdraw their support based on a conviction. That's 1 in 5 Trump voters, which is an enormous number in an election that is expected to be as close as this one. And here's just one example of how that plays out in practice. This is a poll from just a couple of weeks ago. Like many other polls, a narrow Trump lead if you just ask the straight head-to-head, 44-40. But if you add that condition, you ask people, what if he's convicted? You see Trump support dropping by 5 points, Biden's growing by 3 points, a much different race suddenly if you talk about a conviction. The bottom line is we are in uncharted territory.
I want to know about the voter who will now vote for Trump, even though he was a Biden voter beforehand, but he hated the unjustifiable criminal trial against Donald Trump. And when I say criminal, I mean not Trump is the criminal, but instead the criminal is the judge and Alvin Bragg. Do you think Trump supporters actually care about the conviction? No, absolutely not. The only people that would potentially maybe sway in either direction would be those who are in the margins, those who are like still iffy on voting for Trump, that are like alarmed by his corruption, alarmed by his chaos that he brings, and that's it.